So you've probably heard us talk about priming movements, so the best possible way you can warm up to correct any type of joint pain or whatever, or just have a better workout if you don't have any joint pain. This is the number one thing that you should be doing in your workout to prime the muscles that you probably don't have very good connection to because they're really small. It's not something you can squeeze like a bicep. If I say squeeze your rotator cuff, probably don't have good control of that. So we don't want to do priming movements typically to warm those up, to get access to our muscles, to kind of flip the on switch to our body so they're available. Our movement success, the likelihood that we're going to build good movement patterns goes through the roof at that point when that neurological activity, when that electrical activity is kind of created right before our workout. So what we're going to show you today is how our priming movements, we can kind of build them based on our workout. So Jake's just going to do a dumbbell row here, and I'm going to kind of take us through some of the different movements that are actually going on. So if he's going to be set up right here doing a dumbbell row, so if we're looking this way, he's doing this row, all of this weight is coming on this side of his body. Now he's supporting himself with this hand, but that doesn't change the fact that he has 40-50 pounds in this hand rotating himself this way. So not only is Jake doing back muscles, working the muscles in his back right here, but he's also not rotating this way. So he's anti-rotating. So go ahead and put that down, Jake. One of the things that you can do with your priming movements, you've probably seen the thread the needle with rotation. So you can probably kind of simulate that just right here on the bench, right? So normally we would be on all fours, but we're going to bring the arm through this way, and the thread the needle with rotation, we would have a foam roller, we would come here, and you can see with a dumbbell row, that rotation that way, having the strength and the mobility here to be able to do that is very, very important, because if we don't have that mobility, if we're not able to do this priming movement, or we don't get loosened up and able to do that, when we do that dumbbell row, it's going to pull us into that position. And if we're not strong there, that's where injuries occur, when we get in places where we are not strong, ranges of motion where we are not strong. So that's just an upper body example just of your dumbbell row. So go ahead, we're going to do a row again. We're going to look at the hips this time. So a very good example with the hips. So if Jake is doing a row here, we have this weight in this hand, obviously some tension on the back here. Now Jake, go ahead and stick your butt up like you're really, really arching your back. There we go, thank you. So we have a lot of tension right here at the pinch point because his hips are pointed up, because we don't have good hip control. Now pull him really far underneath of you. Obviously have a rounded back this way. Mechanics up here with the shoulders aren't changing too much. Obviously they're affected a ton by our hips, but when we don't have that good hip control, we're causing a lot of issues right here. We're putting a lot of tension with this dumbbell into the body, and if it's transferring down in the wrong place, the hips are in a bad position, it's probably really tough. He's not gonna be able to do a great dumbbell row from that to begin with. So go ahead and put that down. One of the things we can do is our wall angel. So if we get up against the wall here and we just do a normal wall angel, this is normally an upper body exercise, great for a dumbbell row in terms of the upper body. But one of the things we do when we do a wall angel is we have this gap in our low back. I know you guys can't see super well, but he smashes that low back down, and you'll see with the hips, they come up. So one of the things that you learn with your priming movements as well is hip control while you're doing the other ones. Now here's the thing, when you're doing your priming movements, it is about extreme control. So as Jake kind of gets over his head here, I can see there's a little bit of a gap. He starts to struggle as he goes up over his head because we don't have maybe all the shoulder mobility. So rather than me wanting him to complete the whole movement and go all the way up and tilt the back out, so go ahead and go all the way up and arch your back. So this is where most people find themselves at, because like, I want to do the full movement. That's not what we want with your priming movements. What we want is to smash that down, super, super detailed. It should be a struggle. So go ahead and come up, keep that low back down super tight. So we're just gonna do the wall angel here, just again, for example. Smashing that low back down, starting to get tight right there. So rather than forcing all the way up and losing that control, we're gonna keep that down. And again, we're learning that hip control. So now we go into a dumbbell row, and when it gets a little bit hard or whatever, we get a little bit tired, we learn how to keep those hips stable. And the last one here, we're gonna do a face pull as well. So just go ahead and get in through the bottom of the face pull. So step back, get some tension on that rope. So right here, Jake shows us a couple face pulls for those of you watching don't know what a face pull looks like. So what Jake's trying to do is these muscles on the back of his body here, his rear delts, some of his rotator cuffs, he's getting rotation this way as well as coming back this way all in one. This is really, really good for upper body posture correction if you have shoulder pain or anything of those nature. Most people have super weak muscles back here. So here's the thing, most of our traps, these big muscles up here on top, we usually actually have very strong traps and very weak of these rear delts and the muscles of the rotator cuff. So what's gonna happen here, if Jake doesn't prime these little muscles, if we don't do that wall angel, very, very good one, wall angel, wall row, any of those movements, you need to understand when you do your priming movements, you're doing it because we want to do the face pull to correct our posture, to make these strong. But if we don't prime the muscles that we don't have connection to first, our body is going to use the strong muscles to do that movement. It's going to be super hard for us to fight our body's natural tendencies to use the strongest muscles possible. So do a face pull and use your traps. What would that look like? Squeeze in here, shoulders are elevated. We're in this position. We're getting strong like this. When we go to type date, we're gonna be like this all day. That's gonna make everything worse. We don't wanna do that. So when I say to a normal person, say, hey, pull that down, you wanna activate those muscles, they can't do it. So we use our priming movements to do that. Now when these muscles are turned on, we're able to do an actual good face pull. By contrast, we get into this position. So when we stand we're a cashier or a bank teller or whatever we're doing, or we're sitting at our desk, we're in this position because when we prime before our exercise, we get strong in this position, and that just transfers into the rest of our day. Our shoulders get stronger in the right way. We're not using the wrong muscles. We're using the right muscles that we actually are wanting to target in the first place. So prime based on your workout. It takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of practice to learn which movements, but just go through all of them. You're not gonna hurt anything by doing the wrong ones. So just kind of play with it, and experience is going to be your best teacher. So prime before your workouts, and that is absolutely essential for you if you are trying to correct joint pain or if you want to have a good face pull. So if you want to get super jacked and strong, then you have to be able to have connection to the right muscles. Priming movements are going to be your ticket to doing that.